Everyone, we're happy to be here this morning with another testimony to share with you. I'm going to ask you, Brandon, just kind of introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, my name is Brandon Rudder. I lived a very questionable life in my youth, made a lot of mistakes. I got addicted to drugs, and God delivered me from that. At the time, I didn't know it was Him. And then in 2013, He really saved me when, my family and I was camping. Lightning struck a tree. That tree blew up, hit me in the head, and gave me 4 skull fractures and 2 brain bleeds. My dad had to sign a waiver for the surgery. The doctors thought I would either come out of that surgery a vegetable or just paralyzed. And I made a full recovery.
That's awesome. So, tell me about your church life as a child. Did you go to church as a child?
Yeah, so as a child, I came to church. I came pretty regularly with my parents until probably the age of 11, 12. And then I got rebellious and I didn't want to come to church. I never really fully gave myself to God back then, and I just stopped coming to church, and from that point on, I really never came to church again until January of this year.
Okay. And then you was talking about you went down a road of addiction. Tell us a little more about that.
At the age of 12, I smoked marijuana for the first time, but then the ages 13 through 18, I got myself hooked on pharmaceutical medicine. I was taking so many pills I shouldn't be alive, and by the grace of God I am. I almost overdosed probably 3 times. I was so messed up at school one day that my friend had to throw my arm over his shoulder and carry me to each classroom, basically. That same friend, who I haven't ever talked to again, unfortunately, he went to the principal's office and told them what was going on. They called my dad, and he came and picked me up and basically kept me home from school for 30 days. Transferred me to a school that I could do my schoolwork online, so I could get past it. And I never looked back.
So do you think that you got into drugs just because you started with the pot, which a lot of people do, known as a gateway drug?
Yeah.
Do you think it was that, or do you think there was an event in your life that kind of slid you down that road?
I think it was a combination of my sickness as a child combined with the thoughts that I had when I was younger that I didn't think God was real back then. I never fully gave in to the idea or clinged on to it, and I allowed myself to be consumed by darkness, depression, anger, anxiety. I was a mess when I was a teenager, and there was hardly any light within me. So I'm thankful for where I am now.
So then you got off of them after your dad had pulled you out and did some online schooling and things and switched. And then, so you said that was about what age?
That was about 17.
Okay. And you're how old today?
32.
So tell me about the gap in between the 17 to the 32.
So I had a long journey of thinking that I had it all figured out, and I didn't think I needed church. I didn't think I needed religion. I thought I had everything figured out, but deep down inside for all those years, I was still in turmoil. you know, I could put on a happy face and act like everything was fine, but inside, no, I was a mess. And through that gap, it just felt meaningless in the sense of I didn't really know what my purpose was. I didn't know why I was here on this earth. Thankful that I did come back to church because my meaning, my purpose is to serve God now. And I know that fully, and I don't feel meaningless. You know, I feel like I have a purpose.
So what got you back into the church building? So let me clarify and say this. I know that salvation is not associated with religion.
Mm-hmm.
Religion is a repetitive act. It's something
Right.
that we do, and that act is coming to the house of the Lord to worship Him, which is great. I encourage everybody to do it.
Right.
But what brought you back to the house of the Lord?
A very close family member, my stepdad, he kept asking me if I wanted to come to church. And that last time he asked me, I felt a tug. And it's hard to explain, but it was almost like I needed, you know, to see why. Because he just, it was like a once a month thing. He would, or not once a month, it was more than that, but he would just ask me, you know, hey, you want to go to church? And that last time, I felt a pull. And when I walked in, I you know, it's funny because you think that you're going to be judged by having such a big gap.
Mm-hmm.
But I walked in this church and everyone was so welcoming, and it just, this building is full of love. And that's what got me.
But so your stepdad, he got back in church several months before that. And then he started coming, I know, regular. Your grandpa was coming when he was alive,
Mm-hmm.
regular. So you probably seen also a change in him after he got back in. Did that help trigger anything for you in regards to coming back?
Yeah, I also have not had the best relationship with him and my mom. And over these past couple of years, I've seen a change in both of them, and I've actually been able to form a relationship with them again.
Great.
And I feel a lot closer to them than I have over past years, and I'm thankful for that. But yeah, I've always seen a light in him that, you know, I wanted. I just didn't know how to get it.
Mm-hmm. So then tell me about your conversion. So he invited you, you felt a tug, you finally came. I don't know, I can't remember if you got saved, rededicated, however you want to look at it. Would it be saved for you because you said you never had a relationship before? The first time you came, or if it was multiple times?
It was a couple of times after I came. You know, the first couple of times I was just coming, you know, to experience it and see what everything, you know, was like. And then it was probably a month and a half after I'd been coming to the morning services, and Pastor Jim was doing the altar call. And the best way I can explain is you're standing there and your heart just starts pounding and beating like it's wanting to beat out of your chest. And it was almost like someone had a rope on me and they were trying to pull me up to the altar. I felt like he was talking directly to me in those moments. And once I went up to the altar and I prayed, it was like a lightness just was given to me, and I just felt lighter. It's like things that I had been holding on to for years were just gone.
Yeah.
Magical.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then, and we talked about this a little bit the other night. So as a lay minister, I'm always watching people to see how they're progressing, you know, in their walk and things. And so then I hear you in another conversation I wasn't in, but I hear you say, well, I'm going to start coming to Sunday school. It's hard for me to get here Sunday nights, but I was awed by that, because you're like trying to get more time in the house of the Lord, more time to worship and learning. And then last night you said something to me, because after you started coming for that, you talked about the evening and what your excuse was.
There for the first few months, you know, because I'm the cook in our house, and I was basically making the excuse that I couldn't come to evening services because I needed to cook dinner. But after a while, it just kind of dawned on me, there's ways around that. You can pick up food on the way home. There's a crock pot. You can,
right,
you know, prep everything before I come to the evening service, and then it's there for me when I get home. So I wasn't getting enough in the morning services, and I needed to get more. So I found a way around that, and now I'm coming to morning and evening services, and then I try to come on Wednesdays.
Sure. And that's great, because that's not something Pastor Jim or I could have, we really need you here Sunday night. That wouldn't have done it, but it was when you discovered within yourself that I need more.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, but once you start walking in the Spirit, there's a hunger, and the only thing that fills that hunger is more the Word of God, being in the house of God, learning about God, praising God.
Mm-hmm.
That's my purpose.
So through the years, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of conversions, people that accepted the Lord. And then, unfortunately, you know, like the parable of the sower, a lot of them fall off and stuff. But there's something about you, like it's like you got to the rock. What do you think that is? What do you think got you there?
When I look back at my life, all the things that I've been through, I shouldn't be here. I really shouldn't. And the only thing that I can make sense of it with is God protected me through all those times and pulled me out of all those situations because He has a purpose for me. And if it wasn't for Him, I mean, I would go down to hell. I have no doubt in my mind that's where I was going to go. And the thought of that is terrifying. And more than that, now I just don't want to disappoint Him. You know, it's a matter of respect. It's a matter of, I just want to give my life over to Him. And it's brought me such peace and joy in my life. I'm more happy than I've ever been. I walk with just a lightness now, and things don't get to me the way they used to. I can, you know, it's hard to explain, but it's things like that that keep me engaged, ignited, and just wanting more.
Okay. And then if I was to ask you, what do you think God's purpose is for you? What do you think? You said that He saved you from a horrific accident that should have went the other way by all rights, but yet He was merciful and graceful and saved you and healed you. And then all of a sudden now you're back in a relationship with Him, and seems to be going very well. What do you think God's purpose is for you in life?
I feel like my purpose is to spread His word, to, you know, find someone that's lost and just minister to them. I don't really know the exact purpose, but I can't help but feel that I am meant to just spread the word to someone that needs it at some point. Whether that's someone at a supermarket, somebody, you know, on the street that I see struggling, I feel like I'm meant to spread His word.
That's awesome. So if you were to say something to, there's a gazillion people out there that went to church as kids like you. They went because mom and dad made them. They didn't really get attached to it or get into a relationship with God. What would you say to those people today? Because there's a lot of people in the same boat that you were in that went as kids, but now they're grown up and they're finding a void in their life.
I think my first question to them would be, do you have true peace in your heart? Because I think that's one thing a lot of people don't understand about God is before you accept him, you could have 1,000 things going on in your life and feel like the world's caving in on you. But once you accept him, those 1,000 things could be caving in and crashing around you, but he's hovering over top of you and not letting it get to you. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's not hard. There's troubles, trials, and tribulations, but they're a lot easier to handle when you know you have somebody over top of you protecting you and the touch of peace that he gives to your heart. It just, those things don't bother you anymore the way that they did before. And I guess that would be where I would start.
Okay, that's great. So and what you're describing is an abundance of peace that can't be found anywhere else.
No, it can't. It's supernatural. I never really understood, when I was younger and I came into the church and I seen people shouting with joy and just the way, there's just something about it. Once you truly accept him, you just get overwhelmed with joy and peace, no matter what's going on.
And I think that you hit a key point. We portray sometimes as Christians that, come get saved, get in a relationship with God, and everything is great. But the reality of it is, it still rains on the just as well as the unjust.
Yes.
And what you did actually when you got saved and got in a relationship with God is made the greatest decision of your life, but also you enlisted in an army.
Right.
And in an army there will be battles.
Yes.
So thank you so much for sharing your story today. It's awesome. It's going to help people. We will be back with more testimonies. There's tons of people in the church that have wonderful testimonies. And we just encourage you, keep watching and see how God changes lives. Thanks, Brandon.
Well, thank you.